Welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video I am going to teach you how to make the perfect granny square and the perfect winter project to go along with this, and we are going to be making a chunky granny square scarf. Okay, so first we're going to start off by discussing the yarn and hook sizes. So for this project we're going to need chunky yarn, and chunky yarn is like this. As you can see, the yarn is super thick, and this is compatible with a big crochet hook. So what I mean by a big crochet hook, let's take a look at the different sizes of crochet hooks that you can buy. So you have 2.5 millimeters, which is really small. If you look at the tip of the crochet hook, it is tiny, and this is used typically to make very dainty things like flowers. Some plushies you can use with this if you want to make a miniature crochet. This one is perfect. You can even get some smaller than 2.5. You can get 2. I'm pretty sure you can get 1 millimeter as well. Really small crochet hooks. Then you have other sizes like 6 millimeters, 3.5, 4 millimeters, which is personally my favorite. Is compatible with so many different yarns, and I think as your first crochet hook, 4 millimeters is perfect because whatever yarn that you buy in the shop, you can typically use this one. Unless you buy specifically chunky yarn, then you might need a bigger one. So for this project I am going to be using I'm deciding between 5.5, and this is relatively a large hook, or the 6 millimeter hook. Let me show you guys what they both look like. So this is what I mean by big hooks. They're typically in the range of 5 and 7. Yeah, so here we have a 6 millimeter and 5.5. You can see how big the tip is here compared to the 2.5 millimeter crochet hook, and of course the 5.5 is a similar size. So I think we're gonna go with the 6 millimeter crochet hook today. When I bought these two yarns, they're advertised as chunky yarn, but sometimes the packaging won't say whether it's chunky or not, because chunky you'll use the 5.5, 6, or even 7, and it should tell you what crochet hook to use at the back of your yarn packet. But like I said, sometimes it does not tell you, and you kind of have to figure it out yourself. And I recommend doing a lot of trial and error. Use different crochet hooks to see how the stitches look and how they feel, and if they're too tight or too loose, you might want to size up or size down. And when you're crocheting, it will make a lot more sense because you'll know that there's something wrong with the hook size that you're using. It just takes a lot of trial and error and a bit of practice. If you do not have chunky yarn, you can still make this project, and you're gonna get 2 balls of regular yarn, and I'm gonna put that in quotation marks because there's really no such thing as regular yarn, but this is compatible with a 3.5 or 4 millimeter crochet hook. And then what you want to do is grab your other ball of yarn, and then we're gonna find the end of our light purple yarn, and then you're going to tie a knot like this, and then you can crochet with both of these colors, and you have just made the yarn a lot thicker. And if you want to make chunkier yarn, you can join 3 colors together or even 4. Just get really creative with how many colors you want to join together, because I know as a beginner you might not have a wide selection of yarn, you might not have a lot of different types of yarn, but it's important to use what you have in the house. So yeah, you could tie these together. I remember I used to do this so much, and it is very effective. I'm now going to show you why hook sizes are really important. For some reason, this is one concept that I didn't really grasp when I first started crocheting. I thought every single crochet hook was the same, which is not true. So we're gonna get the smallest crochet hook here, the 2.5 millimeter, and then we're gonna use my chunky yarn here, and we're gonna try and crochet with it. And I'm gonna show you guys why it won't work. So to start off, we're just going to make a quick slip knot. You guys do not need to copy me. This is just for a demonstration. We'll get on to making the scarf really soon. So you're gonna insert your crochet hook. We're gonna tighten it, and then we're just gonna make like a couple chains, maybe like 5 chains. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you can see, this is really tight, and if I wanted to make a round of single crochets, I would find it really difficult. I can't even pull these two through properly. See, I'm literally struggling to get these 2 loops through to make a single crochet, and that is how you know this hook size is way too small, because you can't really do much with it. So now I'm going to show you the 5mm crochet hook, or 6mm. Which one is this? Okay, we'll go with the 6mm. So again, I'm just going to make a quick slip knot and then insert my larger hook onto the slip knot, and then I'm going to chain 5 just like I did before. So that's chain 1, 2, 2, 3. Here, as you can see, the stitches are a lot looser and a lot easier to go through. So we're going to go into the next stitch and then make a single crochet. And see, it's a lot easier to make your single crochet when you have the right size hook, because it's just a lot looser and a lot easier to work with. And I do not recommend using a very small crochet hook to be making chunky projects. So yeah, and this is how easy it was to make the single crochets compared to the other one. Okay, so now that I discussed with you the materials that you're supposed to be using in today's video and the hook size and why we're supposed to use the hook size, we're going to go ahead and start crocheting our first granny square. The other materials that we're going to be needing in today's video is a pair of scissors and a tapestry needle to weave in our loose ends. Today I'm going to be using this yarn. My dad got it for me from Aldi or Lidl, I'm not entirely sure, but if you guys live in the UK close to an Aldi or Lidl, they always have things like this, so you should definitely go and check it out. This yarn was only £2 for all of this. It's 300 grams, and at the back it says that I should use a 5.5 crochet hook or a 6mm knitting needles, but I'm gonna go ahead and use a 6mm crochet hook. I just want to size up a little bit. Okay, so let's start making our granny square. So we're gonna start off by making a magic circle. I know a lot of beginners struggle with the magic circle, but trust me, it's actually so easy once you get the hang of it. So you're gonna grab these 2 fingers, and then we're going to place our yarn over it like this and then cross it over. So we have an X on the bottom of our fingers. Then if you turn your fingers, we have just 2 straight lines like this. So an X and then 2 straight lines. So after you've done this, we're going to grab our crochet hook and make sure our hand is facing upright, and you're going to grab the top yarn and then just use it to maneuver to your other yarn, and you're going to pull under. You're going to twist your crochet hook like so, and then we're just going to adjust it by pulling it tight around our crochet hook. And to make it secure, what we're going to do is just chain 1 like this. And that is our magic circle. Feel free to watch that clip as many times as you need to make sure that you get the hang of making the magic circle, because it's very important to making your granny squares. So after you've chained 1, we're going to go ahead and chain 2 more. So yarn over, pull through. And here we have a chain of 3. So this is going to count as our first double crochet. So we're going to make 2 double crochets inside the magic circle. So you're going to yarn over, insert your hook, pull up that loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that is your double crochet. And we're going to go ahead and insert 1 more. So yarn over, we're going to pull that up, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, pull through 2. And that is 2 double crochets done, plus our chain 3, which makes it technically 3 double crochets. Now what we're going to do is chain 2, like so, and then we're going to insert 3 more double crochets inside this magic circle. So we're going to yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and pull through 2. And then we're going to go ahead and add in 2 more. This process is a bit fiddly because you're trying to hold the magic circle open, you're trying to control the tension of your yarn and also control your crochet hook, but it shouldn't be too bad once we've gone past this stage. Okay, so I have 1 more double crochet to put inside, and there we go. We have 3 double crochets. So as you can see, what's happening right now is that we have 1 corner here, and a square has 4 corners, so we're going to repeat this until we have 3 corners. I'm going to show you how to do the 4th corner because it's slightly different to how we do these 3. So right now we're making our 2nd corner, so you're going to chain 2 and then yarn over, insert your hook, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then we're going to put 2 more inside the magic circle. So we have a total of 3. Oops. Let me try that again. Okay, 1 more. And here we have 2 corners. So next we're just going to chain 2 and then insert 3 double crochets inside this magic circle. Now that we have 3 corners, here's the 1st corner, 2nd corner, and the 3rd corner. We're going to close the magic circle by pulling the end that we had when we first made the magic circle. So you're going to pull that closed and make sure you pull it really, really tight. And then that is the circle closed, and now it's becoming to look like a square. Okay, so now what we're going to do is chain 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to slip stitch into our chain 3. So we're just going to grab our hook, place it through, pull that yarn through, and then we're going to pull this stitch straight through. And then here we have the 1st round of our granny square. And then what we're going to do next is slip stitch into the next stitch, like so. Pull that through, and then go into this stitch, pull that through, and then slip stitch inside this corner here. So we're gonna just put the yarn through and then pull this loop straight through, and now we are at our other corner. And now to start round 2, you're going to chain 3, and this counts as your 1st double crochet. You need to remember that every chain 3 that you do, it counts as 1 double crochet. So we're going to now insert 2 double crochets into this corner instead of 3 because of our chain 3. Okay, once you have your 3 double crochets inside that corner, you're going to chain 2 and then put 3 double crochets inside that corner. So this is our corner stitch combination. So to make any corner, you do 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets, like so. So here we have our 1st corner, and we're going to do exactly the same in this stitch. So you're not going to chain 1, you're not going to chain anything to move to the next gap. You're just going to yarn over, insert your hook, and then make 3 double crochets and then chain 2, 3 double crochets. Okay, so I've done that in the other 2 spaces. So here I did my 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, all in the same corner. And now we're going to do the last one together. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then make 3 more double crochets. 1, then 1 more. Okay, so now I'm going to chain 2 and then put in 3 more double crochets. Okay, so once you've done that for all of your corners, we're going to go and slip stitch into our chain 3. So just at the top over here, pull that through, go into your next stitch, slip stitch, next stitch, slip stitch, and then we're going to slip stitch right into this corner. My yarn is getting a little bit tangled. Okay, so we're gonna just make a slip stitch here like so, and this is what our square looks like so far. Now something interesting has happened. We don't only have corners now. In the first round we just had corners, and you just make your corner stitch by putting in 3 double crochets, chain 2 and 3 double crochets, but now we have a gap. So we have a non-corner space. So I'm going to show you guys what we're supposed to do in these gaps very soon. But first, let's start by making our corner. So every round, you should start by making your first corner stitch, and at the end of each round you want to slip stitch in the top stitches until you reach your corner. And that's just how I found that it makes your squares very, very square, and it's a very good method to be making granny squares. I'm sure a lot of tutorials will show you other ways, but this is just how I prefer it. So I'm going to start off by chaining 3. I'm going to have the corner stitch on the screen with you guys, so I'm not repeating myself the whole time, because once you finish like round 2, round 3 gets really repetitive, and round 4 and round 5. So that's really easy, especially for beginners, because you just repeat the same thing over and over again. I remember when I first made my granny squares, they did not look like squares at all. They had this seam down the middle, which is very, very noticeable. But I decided to carry on anyways, and I ended up making a granny square cardigan, which turned out so cute. Okay, so once I just did my corner space, we're going to go inside this gap here. So inside these non-corner spaces, that's what I'm going to call it, so it's less confusing, we're just going to insert 3 double crochets. So we're going to just yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then we're going to add 2 more, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. Okay, so here we have 3 double crochets inside this gap. So now we're going to move on to the next space here, and then we're going to make our corner stitch, which consists of 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets in the same space. Hopefully me repeating myself will help you guys when you're learning how to make this granny square. I had to do so much repetition when I first made a granny square, but it's a really fun skill to have because you can make so many different things, from clothing to book covers to what else can you make with granny squares? You can make table decorations, room decorations. You can literally make anything with granny squares. They're so versatile. And yeah, and today we're making a chunky scarf, which I think is going to turn out really nice. So I just finished my corner, and now I'm going to go into my non-corner and then insert 3 double crochets. And you just want to repeat this all the way around, doing your corner, non-corner, until we reach the end. So I'm going to meet you guys back at the end of round 3. Now I am at the end of round 3, and I'm going to just make a slip stitch in the chain 3 of the previous round. So we're going to insert our hook, pull that through, and then pull that straight through. So this is what it looks like on round 3, and it's very square as well. I love how this is looking so far. And I'm going to slip stitch until I reach this corner here, just over here. So pull this through, slip stitch, and then go inside the corner space and slip stitch. Okay, so guys, you're going to do this round yourself and see if you understood what to do. So I'm going to meet you back at the end of round 4, and we're going to see how you got along. So we're going to be making our first corner. Okay, so in the corner space, remember you need to chain 3, and that counts as your first double crochet. And then you're going to insert 2 more double crochets and then chain 2, 3 double crochets all in the same space, and then in our non-corner spaces, and here we have 2 non-corner spaces, you're going to insert 3 double crochets, and then you guys know what to do for the corner and then the rest of the square. So I'm going to meet you back at round 4, and then we can do round 5 together. Alright guys, we have finished round 5 now, and to tell what round you're on, you just count these gaps starting from the middle. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, so we finished round 4 now, and I'm just going to slip stitch into the top of our chain 3 and then pull this through. So to make each square, we want to just go ahead and do 3 more rounds, so we'd have a total of 7 rounds. So we're just going to repeat all the same steps by making our corner stitch, and then in the non-corner gaps here, just insert 3 double crochets in each, and then make our corner, and then just repeat that all the way around until we are on round 7. I am now at the end of round 7, so I'm going to slip stitch into the top of my chain 3 from the previous round, pull that through, just slip stitch along. But now that we're fastening off, you don't need to slip stitch into the corner. I mean, you can if you want. I think we'll do it. Okay, we'll do it. And then gonna chain 1, we're gonna pull our yarn, we're gonna leave a bit of a tail just so we can sew it in properly, and then we're gonna get our pair of scissors and just cut it there, and then pull this tight. So here is our first square. This is actually so square and I love making granny squares because I get excited every time you can obviously see the different corners. And with granny squares, this might look a little bit uneven. I don't know if you can tell, but a lot of people do block their granny squares, but we're gonna keep this a beginner tutorial and we can do blocking in another video, because I don't even have a blocking board. I just use granny squares as they are. And this is the square complete. This is what it looks like, and you have these little gaps close up, and I just think it looks really pretty. And to make our scarf, we're gonna go ahead and make a couple more of these, so just follow all the instructions that we did in the previous steps, start to finish, until you reach round 7. So I went ahead and made a total of 8 granny squares, and I think this is going to be the perfect length for my scarf. This is how much yarn that I have left, not really that much. I think it's a good amount for me to sew all the squares together, but I did want to make tassels, but I don't have enough. I might look at the yarn that I have and see what color goes well with this so I can make the tassels. But yeah, the next thing that we need to do now that we've got all our squares is to just weave in these loose ends. So you should have about 2 loose ends. So you have one where you started the magic ring, and then another one where you fastened off. So we have to tuck these all in for all of our squares. To do this, we're going to need a tapestry needle. It's just a needle where you can fit your yarn through. It's very similar to a sewing needle. So we're gonna grab our first tail and try and fit it inside the eye of the needle. So what I do is I just twist the yarn like this, so it's a lot easier to get through, because the end can be a bit fuzzy and hard to put through the eye. So now we're just gonna put it through like so. And now to weave in your ends, all you need to do is pull it really tight to make sure that the magic circle is closed, and then we're just gonna insert our needle like this and then pull it straight through. Make sure it's really tight. And there's not really a set way to weave in your ends. You can do it any way that you want. All you have to do is literally put the needle in and out until it's nice and secure, and until you know that the yarn will not come undone under any circumstances. So I'm gonna just do it one last time. Insert my needle and then just put it in a couple more stitches like so. Don't stress yourself out too much with the weaving the ends process. It's really not that bad. It's really not that hard to hide your yarn ends, but just play around with it. But this is just how I do it. So now that I've got quite enough yarn through there, I'm going to grab my pair of scissors and cut it right where I started, We don't want to leave any more tails. And this is what it looks like. You can't even tell that it's been sewn in. It literally looks so perfect. Okay, so once you've done the back, we're going to go onto the area where we fastened off, and it is a similar process. So I'm just gonna grab my yarn, twist it a little bit, and then grab my needle and then put it through like so. And now I'm going to put my needle in, pull it tight, and then put it in the back like this, and then put it back where I put it in at the beginning, and then pull that tight, and then cut it where it begins, and that should hold your yarn in. And this is what it looks like. And I know we're probably gonna have quite a bit of yarn left over from our weaving in. We could potentially use these for the tassels actually, if I don't have enough yarn to do them with my ball. So we're gonna see, we're gonna collect these, we're not gonna throw them away. And you want to do this process for all the rest of your squares. Now that we've weaved in all of the ends, we can now start joining all the granny squares together. So you're going to start off by just getting 2 granny squares, and we can set the rest aside. We can also move this out the way as well, and let's just adjust the camera so you can see. Okay, so what I'm going to do is flip over my granny square. So you want right sides facing the right side. So this is the wrong side of the granny square, and this is the right side. There's a slight difference, but you should be able to tell. The stitches are a bit clearer on the right side compared to the back. You can see these little loops, but if you turn it over to the front, you can't really see them. I know it's a very, very subtle detail, but pay attention to that when you are assembling the scarf. So we're going to place the right sides together. So this is the right side of the second granny square, and this is the right side of the first granny square. So we are going to slip stitch these 2 together. I'm going to start by holding my 2 corners together. We're going to match them up, and then we're going to use the same hook that we were using to make the granny squares. So just this 6mm crochet hook. We're going to insert the hook inside the 2 corners, and then grab our yarn. We're going to loop over like this and pull it straight through. And now I'm just going to tie a knot to secure it. We can leave a little bit of a tail just so we can weave it in. So we do have a little bit more weaving in to do for this project. But you want to pull the yarn really, really tight and then make this small knot. Once you've done that, we're going to put our hook back inside, and then we're going to loop over and then pull it up completely. And instead of weaving in this end, we can just work over our yarn, and I'll show you how to do that very soon. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the stitches that we need to work inside. So I'm just going to adjust my grip and then hold the yarn properly. So I'm going to insert my hook into this stitch that's next to the corner, and then we're also going to be slip stitching over this. So I'm going to go into my next stitch, which is behind the stitch that I'm in, and I'm going to insert that through, and then pull up, pull that through, and then pull this straight through, and that is your first slip stitch. So we're going to do that again. You're going to insert your hook into a stitch, and then do the same to the other granny square. We're going to insert our hook, then we're going to pull up a loop, and then pull that loop straight through. And you want to do this all the way along your granny square, but I'm going to meet you guys back at this corner, and I'm going to show you how to just finish this corner. But it should be really straightforward all the way along, but I'm going to show you one more time. So we're going to put our hook in the next stitch, and then the stitch behind on our other granny square, pull that through, and then pull this loop straight through. And this is what it's looking like so far, and we just need to do this all the way along. Now that we have reached the corner, we're going to make a slip stitch, and then I'm just going to make 2 more slip stitches inside the same corner. It does get a bit hard when you start making the second one, but it's very doable. It's just a little bit fiddly. So I'm gonna put that in and then pull straight through. Okay, and then we're gonna do 1 more. Like so. And then at the top of our corner, we're going to insert our hook into the top stitch. It is a bit tight because of when we were weaving in the end, so you just want to kind of force it in there, or if it won't go through because of how tight you did the knot, we can go to the one just before it. Okay, and we're going to do the same to the other side, so we're going to just insert it through and then pull this straight through. Then we're gonna pull this through to make a slip stitch. Then we're gonna chain 1 and then fasten off. So you're gonna grab your pair of scissors and then just cut there and then pull this as tight as you can. And this is the first granny square joined together. So now we have the rest of our granny squares to join, and we're going to follow the exact same process, and I'm going to meet you back when I have completed. So remember to attach your yarn in here and then slip stitch in all of your stitches, and then in the end one do 3 slip stitches and then a slip stitch into the stitches and then chain 1 and fasten off. So we're going to do that with all of our granny squares. Once you have finished slip stitching everything together and tucking in any of your loose ends, this is what it should look like, and this thing is so cozy. I'm not sure what material my yarn is made out of, but I will put it on the screen once I find out. But it's definitely not acrylic. It's so fluffy and so warm, and it does not feel itchy on my skin at all. I did make it really long, so for reference I am 5 foot on the dot, so when I have the scarf wrapped around my shoulders it almost touches the floor. It like touches my ankles, which is a really long scarf, but I like scarves like this. I own one similar to this, but it's not crocheted, it's just made out of fabric, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. And I want to make this in so many different colors, but I really love the color that I chose for this one. Alright guys, that is the end of today's video. I really hope you enjoyed this and that it was easy enough for you to follow, and I'm so excited for you guys to also make your own granny square scarf.